And to talk more about the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte, we have Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon joining us this morning. Good morning to you, Congressman, and thanks for being here again on Morning Matters.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Congressman, before the hearing on Wednesday, tell us what would you say are the key accomplishments so far of the House Committee on Justice?
Well, yung major accomplishment po no, ng pagdinig dito pong nakaraan, yung pong disclosure ng finality of decision of the Commission on Audit no, relating to the 73 million 2022 confidential funds. No? Kasi pinapabalik na po sa atin pong pangalang Pangulo, personally, kasama ng dalawa pa niyang kasamahan sa OVP, ito pong 73 million po na sinasabi po ng Commission on Audit na mali po yung paggamit. Hindi ho nila maipaliwanag kung paano ho nila ito i-justify. So, yun po yung una. Pangalawa, syempre nailatag po yung NBI findings na iilang mga tao lang po yung pumirma sa acknowledgement receipts ng pong paggamit ng confidential funds, katulad po ni na Mary Grace Piatos, Milky Sikuya at iba pa. Pangatlo, yung pong PSA, pinakita po nila na hindi ho talaga pinanganak na matay kinasal. Ito pong sina Mary Grace Piatos, Milky Sikuya, at iba pang mga personalidad na pumirma daw ho sa acknowledgement receipts. At panghuli, syempre yung pong testimonya ni Ramil Madriaga na nagsasabi ho na tumanggap at nag-deliver daw po siya ng mga duffel bags containing cash from confidential funds.
So based on everything you said, Congressman, para sa inyo, mas matimbang po ba itong mga findings ng COA, ng NBI, ng PSA compared doon sa testimony ni Ramil Madriaga?
Mas mabigat po yung mga dokumento dahil wala akong makikipagdebate tungkol sa kredibilidad po ng mga dokumento. No? So, yung pong testimonya, syempre, meron pong particular concerns sa ilang mga bahagi, pero katulad po ng mga binabanggit ko in the past, meron din pong mga accuracies no? At katotohanan doon po sa ilang bahagi po ng testimonya. But, ang sabi ko rin, even if you remove the Madriaga testimony, yung pong confidential funds misuse will stand on the basis of all the documents that I had mentioned, particularly the COA reports.
Pagdating doon po sa testimony ni Ramil Madriaga, Congressman Terry, what for you are the questions that still remain unanswered? May mga gaps pa po ba doon sa kanyang narrative?
Well, ito pong particular aspects are relating to yung confidential funds misuse. No? Gusto ko talaga nating malaman yung pong kwento naman or denial. Doon dalawa pang mga personalidad na binanggit po doon. Si Mr. Ryan Kilala at si Reynold Monsayak. No? Very important po yung papel ho nila kasi ilang araw na ho, malapit na ho mag-isang linggo. Up until today, wala ho tayo naririnig na outright denial from the two. Sila ho talaga yung, in fact, sinasabi ho ni Vice President Sara Duterte na si Mr. Madriaga hanggang kay Ryan Kilala lang yan. Hindi ba? So, talagang very major yung pong papel ni Mr. Kilala to explain all of these things, no? Kung paano nangyari na magkakasama sila doon sa isang grupo supporting the Vice President at the same time na si Mr. Madriaga was supposedly undertaking kidnapping activities kasi meron ng mga balita, I think from News 5 mismo, na even in the thick no, of preparations for the inauguration of the Vice President, meron hong mga kidnapping activities na ginagawa po si Mr. Madriaga. So, ang kailangan ipaliwanag doon, bakit ho nagsasama-sama itong Mr. Kilala, Mr. Madriaga supporting the Vice Presidency of VP Sara? No? So, I think these are very important questions na kailangan pong maipaliwanag. Kasi nga, if you dig deeper, talaga it is more than meets the eye. No? Ito pong kwento po ni Mr. Madriaga.
And tama ka dyan, Congressman Terry, because the defense here is arguing that wala naman talagang direct link din between Vice President Sara Duterte and the personalities involved, sila Attorney Kilala, Munsayak, in terms of dito dun sa mga deliveries of cash, and for the Vice President, the buck stops with Attorney Kilala. So how would that work kung kung walang ma-establish na clear direct link and dun base sa narrative ni Ramil Madriaga, some of the instructions were done via phone call. Sabi nga ng kampo ng Vice Presidente, it's very convenient because it's unverifiable to make claims like that. So kung ang kanyang testimony ay partly unverifiable, may probative value pa ba yung kanyang sinasabi?
Well, I think at this point naman probable cause lang naman yung pinag-uusapan natin. Tingin ko naman kaya na ma-establish yun at based on the testimonies that we currently have, and based on the supplemental affidavit that we currently have, So, I think as we go to trial, kaya pa hong palalimin ng husto ng atin pong komite yung pong ugnayan po na ito. But again, even if we stop today on the testimony itself and on the affidavit itself, kahit itabihin natin yun, mapapatunayan po rin namin on the basis merely of documents, COA, NBI, PSA, ito pong kaso on confidential funds misuse rising to a level of a betrayal of public trust.
So for you, Kong Terry, na-establish na po ba ang probable cause when it comes to this allegation of misuse of confidential funds?
Tingin ko, clearly established na po ito. And more importantly, yung isa ho sa madi-disclose today, yung kopya po ng notice of disallowance, not just on the 73 million for 2022, but yung po at least 300 million in confidential funds na subject doon po sa notice of disallowance for the 2023 first 3 quarters. Mas mabigat po yun kasi mas malaki po yun. 300 million na ho minimum yung pinag-uusapan po natin, and I'm quite certain it will still be the same basis as to why it was disallowed by the COA. Ibig sabihin, hindi ho maipaliwanag ng OVP kung bakit nila kailangan ng confidential funds in the first place, bakit ginamit ang pondo on confidential funds for non-confidential purposes, katulad po ng governance activities. So, I'm quite certain it will ripen to a finality of decision in the future, pero dagdag din po itong batayan para sabihin ho natin na talaga hindi ho makakatakas ang ating pong pangalang Pangulo sa usapin po ng confidential funds misuse.
But when it comes to COA's findings, VP Sara's camp argues that wala daw nabigay na due process sa kanya because the COA there issued daw a notice of disallowance without first releasing yung tinatawag po na Audit Observation Memorandum or yung AOM. Kung Terry, gano'n ka-importante ba yon na procedural step? Was due process followed there, and could they raise this as an issue eventually?
Hindi naman ho totoo yun. Ang sabi po ng COA, yung mga AOM po, mga pangunang mga pagtingin lang ho yun eh. Ibig sabihin, hindi ho yan necessary step bago ho magkaroon ng notice of disallowance. So, ibig sabihin, any office will have to contend with the notice of disallowance itself. So, ibig sabihin, dahil meron ng notice of disallowance, meron ho silang pagkakataon therefore to actually challenge it eh. Hindi ba? So, to be clear, hindi ho requirement ang isang AOM doon po sa paglalatag muna ng isang notice of disallowance. So, wag ho nilang pagbanggain yun. The question to offices, not just to the OVP, pagka ho nag-notice of disallowance, anong paliwanag mo doon? Pwede pa naman ho nilang habulin yun eh, at the level po of a notice of disallowance. So, kung hindi nila naipaliwanag ho yun, paano ho nila masasabi na wala hong due process na pinairal dito po sa implementation po ng mga proseso po ng Commission on Audit.
Okay, Congressman, balikan ko lang po si Ramil Madriaga, because in the last hearing, he agreed to waive his bank secrecy rights, and these records will be submitted to AMLAC. How soon po can the committee access these records, and what are you expecting to find in these accounts? Mag-a-appear pa po ba si Ramil Madriaga sa next committee hearing sa Wednesday?
Hopefully within the week, we will coordinate with the banks and more particularly with the MLC, para malaman ho namin firstly, totoo ba na merong mga bank accounts no, na nag-exist, no? Para kay Mr. Madriaga. Pangalawa, gusto namin makita inflows and outflows, no? Kung talaga ho may mga bank accounts po na nag-exist. And kung matitrace ba natin kung kanino ba nanggagaling po, supposedly, ito pong mga inflows po na ito. So, very important ho na makausap po namin MLC on the matter. And pagka ho makakuha kami ng report, we can still re-invite Mr. Madriaga in future proceedings.
Okay, so speaking of the hearing on April 22, ang magiging focus naman po dyan is the alleged unexplained wealth, and several key personalities are expected to attend this hearing. What can the public expect, Congressman Terry, and would you say mas maging mabigat yung hearing na ito because this will be tackling yung alleged ill-gotten wealth ng Vice-Presidente?
Alam po niyo, mas mabigat na po itong darating pong pagdinig. Kasi hindi na ho mga star witnesses yung magsasalita rito eh. Ang magsasalita na po rito mga dokumento mismo, no? So, inaasahan ho natin na isasala ho si Ombudsman Remulla. Sabi niya ho, pupunta ho siya para talakayin po yung SALN, no? Na atin pong pangalawang Pangulo, yung 88 million SALN po niya for 2024 and previous years, no? Pangalawa, may isasalang po yung MLC. They were subject to a subpoena last week para maipakita po yung inflows and outflows po ng bank accounts ng mag-asawa pong Duterte Carpio. May sasalang din po si Senator Trillanes where he will explain yung pong context ng pong mga bank accounts supposedly ni Vice President Sara Duterte together with other personalities including former President Rodrigo Duterte. Masasalang din po yung SEC no, on the financial statements of the firms stated by the Vice President in her 2024 SALN at panghuli, yung pong BIR, no, kung ano ho yung mga reporting na ginawa po ng mag-asawa Duterte Carpio relating to their business incomes as stated in their ITRs.
But I guess the question also is what kind of evidence would be needed to establish that the wealth was illegally acquired? Is a mismatch po sa SALN enough to establish probable cause or kailangan mapatunayan na may intent din?
Yung usapin ho ng SALN, hindi ho nagka-question ng intent eh. So, ibig sabihin, pagka ho merong significant deviation from what had been stated in the 2024 SALN, for example, kung 88 million, kung malayo, halimbawa, yung pong findings from the ITRs, from the financial statements, from particularly the bank records no, of the Vice President, dun pa lang po, maipapakita na ho agad yung pong unexplained wealth no, at SALN violations, rising to a level of a betrayal of public trust.
Well, last week, Congressman Terry, we saw the committee being really careful with its line of questioning, so as not to overstep your mandate. You were asking questions strictly about the affidavit, and yet the Vice President's camp still argues na wala daw silang due process. In your view, ano po ba ang magiging incentive para kay VP Sara na umattend personally sa mga hearings na ito at i-address itong mga allegation? And if she does attend, will she be given adequate time and opportunity to present her counter-arguments and evidence, or should she just do this at the Senate kung saan magkakaroon siya ng opportunity doon since that will be a full-blown trial then?
Well, clearly stated naman po in the rules no, na meron pong absolute right yung atin pong pangalawang Pangulo, any impeachable official, doon po sa kanila pong paglalatag ng kanilang depensa at ebidensya. Kaya nga ho, in every stage nung pong pagsasalang po ng aming mga resource person, hinahanap po talaga si Vice President Sara Duterte para mabigyan ho siya ng pagkakataon. No? And kung wala siya, our understanding is she will have waived her right to present her evidence and defense at that stage of the proceeding. But up until the very end of the proceeding, meron pong karapatan ang atin pong pangalawang Pangulo. And what is her incentive to participate? And siyempre, mawawasak ko niya immediately, there and then. Yung pong kredibilidad ng pong mga dokumento, yung pong kredibilidad ng mga resource persons. Ibig sabihin, there and then, kung talagang hindi ho niya kilala si Mr. Madriaga, pwede ho niyang wasakin eh. Yung pong kredibilidad ho ng mama, doon pa lang ho sa pagdinig po na yun. Pero she wasn't there, but of course, we will expect her to be able to attend pa ho doon sa remaining mga pagdinig po na amin po nga komite.
So speaking of the remaining hearings, ilan pa po ba ang sa tingin yung hearings na i-conduct ng Committee on Justice? In terms of timeline, when do you think this could be elevated to plenary for a vote?
Tingin ko sapat na ho yung dalawang natitira, no? Ito pong linggo at yung susunod pong linggo. So hopefully, we will be able to vote and send it to plenary by May. Pagka bumalik na po yung Kongreso in session.
Okay, and on to other matters, Congressman, if we may ask you, another development is the reported arrest of former Congressman Zaldico in the Czech Republic. Do you believe he should return to the Philippines and face all the allegations and the charges against him?
Well, malinaw na ho yung binanggit natin dyan sa bagay po na yan. Una, syempre, ito po yung pagkakataon para kay former congressman ko na mailatag din ho niya yung pong kanya pong paliwanag at dagdag na impormasyon, no? Doon po sa mga anomalyang mga flood control projects sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. Pangalawa, ito po ay oportunidad para sa kanya na ilatag din ho yung depensa niya doon sa mga kasong nakasampas sa kanya sa Sandigan Bayan sa iba't ibang mga kaso. At panghuli, syempre, very important ho talaga na antabayanan din ho natin yung pong mga kaganapan dito po sa kanya pong pag-uwi, no? Kasi I'm not quite certain as to how yung pong how soon yung pong kanya pong pagbalik sa atin pong bansa, lalo't higit yung pong asylum proceedings, pwede rin hong mangyari yun eh. No? So I think we have to get a little bit more information from the Czech Republic kung ano ba yung actual na estado ng kanya pong pagkakadetine.
Pero Congressman Terry, do you think the Philippine government should negotiate with Zaldico in terms of getting more information in exchange for, let's say, a plea bargain? Or do you think former Congressman Zaldico must face the full might of the law?
Tingin ko bago ho natin pag-usapan ho yung mga negotiations and facing the entirety of all the proceedings here, no? Ang kailangan ho muna natin pag-usapan, papaano ho siya maipapabalik sa pinakamaagang panahon. So, I think we have to be able to focus on that. And syempre, may mga nagsasabi rin ho na hindi daw ho totoo na nakuha daw po si Congressman Zaldico. I think we have to put finality on the question. Where is he actually? Where is he detained? And if he is actually detained, what are the interventions that the Philippine authorities in Prague can actually undertake, no, to ensure his return to the Philippines.
But if Zaldico does return to the Philippines and he potentially names other officials, Congressman, is the House prepared for broader implications kung magpangalan siya ng iba niyong kasamahan sa House of Representatives and cite their involvement in this flood control scandal?
Well, kung magpangalan nung siyempre si Congressman Zaldico, that is his right, no? Bahala ko siya. And I'm quite certain naman House members will be able to provide their own defenses, no? Dito po sa bagay na ito. And yung ombudsman is the body that we are expecting to be able to go to the bottom of all of these things. Lalo higit sa kanila na pinasa ng ICI. Ito po nga pag-iimbestiga further ng pong flood control corruption.
All right, we're going to leave that there for now, but thank you very much for joining us this morning, and thank you for your time. That was Bicol Sara Party List Representative Terry Redon.
Good morning, thank you.